ML Sports Take brought to you by Welch & Company Jewelers and Jam and Beats. The scapegoat, whether you like it or not, his name is Ken Dorsey, fired as offensive coordinator. You know Sean McDermott isn't going anywhere. He's the CEO. He's going to fire people because he is Brandon Beane's dude. He hired Brandon Beane. Those two guys are locked, sync, and elbow and elbow, arm in arm. And, McDermott just signed an extension as well. But the Bills, yeah, Ken Dorsey, sure. Scheme was bad. Personnel didn't use him. The guy's inconsistent offense, right? Red zone efficiency. Not putting Josh Allen in the best spots. Why did it take so long to get Dalton Kincaid going? Tempo, rhythm, timing, offense. Why did it take so long to get going? I could use all these different reasons why Dorsey, the offense was predictable, why he got fired, but the Bills still have a Sean McDermott problem. 12 men on the field. Give me a break. I mean, really? That's how you lose last night? 13 seconds, game management. How about the conservative nature, the defensive mindset, all the bullshit that McDermott has pulled? Plus, you have HC and DC duties this year. Really? I mean, can you put anything more on your plate, you egomaniac? For God's sakes, he pushed Leslie Frazier out the door. He argued with Brian Dable. I mean, this guy is wearing people down at one Bills drive. Sean McDermott also, by the way, last year got absolutely outcoached by Zach Taylor. And I'll tell you this, if it were me and I were Brandon Beane, even though Sean McDermott brought me in, I'd sit down and have a heart-to-heart with him and go, dude, you are so great at running the defense. You have reached your ceiling as a head coach. I know this is hard to hear. We're friends, we're colleagues, etc. But I want to demote you to defensive coordinator because I want you to be even better at what you do great. He'll never do it. McDermott would never agree to it. He's an alpha. He's an egomaniac. He would never agree to a demotion. However, that's exactly the conversation that Brandon Beane should have with his buddy Sean McDermott. And if he doesn't accept that, show him the door. Because the Bills need an offensive mind, an offensive mindset. They need an offensive philosophy. They need to start looking at their guy, Josh Allen, the window that is, I guess, a little bit still open for a Super Bowl. And 3 of these years are completely gone. 2021, 2022, 2023. And it's usually a 3 to 5 year window. You usually extend it to 5 to 7, depending on who you have at QB and how you have built around him. The Bills have built around him. Stephon Diggs, they've gone to the draft. They've added on both sides of the ball. They've made coaching changes. I would say that 3 years are gone, and they have probably 2 to 4 years left in that window. But I don't know if it's a great window, and I don't know if it's really a great situation because a lot of parts are starting to fall away here, right? I mean, you look at the safeties getting older, Poyer and Hyde, injuries just racking up on the Bills' defense. Matt Milano, will he be the same player? Trey White, will he be the same player? Von Miller is already not the same player. You have Dawson Knox. You shouldn't have paid him at $14 million a year. You still haven't figured out wide receiver depth. Who do you have after Stephon Diggs? Dalton Kincaid's a great option, but what about WR2 and 3 and 4? Like, these are all issues. They still haven't figured out the offensive line. So the Bills have major problems still moving forward, and it starts really at the top with Sean McDermott. Does Terry Pagula get involved? I don't know. Look, it's been great lately to be a Bills fan. There's no question about it. The Bills have been back as a regular playoff team. They've won division titles. They've won primetime games. They're relevant. They're popular. Josh Allen jerseys are flying off the shelf. They've won head-to-head against some of the best teams in the NFL. They've banged on the door of the AFC Championship game. They've banged on the door of making a run to the Super Bowl. McDermott deserves a ton of that credit, as does Beane. But when you get to a certain level, can you get up over the hump? And in fairness to McDermott and Beane, I will say the San Francisco 49ers have done no better, and Kyle Shanahan is called a genius. So when you look at it from that perspective, it is hard to win. However, I'd rather have Kyle Shanahan at the controls. He also, by the way, handles OC and HC duties, as does Zach Taylor and Andy Reid, and I think the Bills need somebody like that. I'm not saying it's easy to find a coach like that. Josh Allen, an elite quarterback, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, etc., Justin Herbert, they're not Joe Burrow. They're not easy to find. You can't just pluck, a quarterback off the tree, an elite quarterback, and be like, oh, there we go. We got a Super Bowl window, 3 to 5 years, or we can extend it to 5 to 7. It ain't working like that. However, the head coach situation is also working the same exact way. So, look, you can't just pluck, oh, there's the McVay tree. Okay, bing, bing, and you're just grabbing, apples off the tree type of a thing. It doesn't work that way. It's hard to find those guys, probably as hard as it is to find an elite quarterback. But they're out there, and I think Ben Johnson might be a really good choice for the Buffalo Bills. They're never going to do it. I'm just talking to you about what I would do. I would love an offensive mindset who can handle the HC and the OC. You have a defensive coordinator who goes and does his own thing. Do you bring bring in an Eric Bieniemy. I mean, he's available with Washington. You know he wants to become a head coach, but what if you brought him in as an OC and he freaking thrives in Buffalo? Dude, you worked with Mahomes. You just turned Washington around. They're in every game. Sam Howell looks like a guy who's going to stay. Eric Bieniemy, let's go. You know, we'll bring you to Buffalo. We'll make you the OC. And then as he is performing, he's putting pressure on Sean McDermott. Now, he failed a lot of the coaching interviews because people said he didn't have personality, control the room. He didn't interview well. I don't know what the hell the situation is. All I know, he's a great offensive mind. Ben Johnson right now, he has the Lions humming. Look at that offense. Yeah, they drafted well. Jared Goff playing well. But they drafted, they brought in the personnel. Ben Johnson said no thank you to all the head coaching jobs, including the Chargers. If he was going to interview for that job, he said no to Denver as well. And you know what? I would love an offensive mind to also be the head coach. And there you have a situation where Ben Johnson, complete and utter authority for the offense. He's an offensive mind. He goes for it all the time on 4th and 2 from the 47 in the playoffs with a 6'5", 250-pound unicorn. Those kind of philosophies, the Bills need those things. And that's the thing that I keep coming back to. Even though the Dorsey move probably needed to be done, there's still a Sean McDermott problem, and he ain't changing his defensive philosophy. He's not going to check his ego at the door. He's not going to stomp on his own alpha male. He ain't going to do it. You still have a Sean McDermott problem. Defensive philosophy, defensive thinking, defensive approach, holding back his players, including the number one guy in terms of Josh Allen. Horrible, horrible game management. 13 seconds, 12 men on the field, 47-yard line, your own 47 in the playoffs. Punting instead of going for it, playing field goals against Kansas City's touchdowns, terrible challenges. It goes on and on, blowing double-digit leads across the board, getting involved with the offense 2 years ago with Brian Dable when he was trying to force Brian Dable to run the football when they didn't have the personnel and they had north-south runners and no north-south blockers, but he was getting involved with complementary football. Those are the things that Sean McDermott is bringing to the table. Again, I credit him, I credit Bean. Bills football has been fun. Division titles, playoff bursts, all that stuff, culture, team building, great in the community, blah, blah, blah. They've won, they've been relevant, but they've gotten them to here, and they can't get them over here. That's the problem, and it's a Sean McDermott problem. ML Sports Take, brought to you by Welch & Company Jewelers, Jam and Beats, Stanley Law Offices, and Trey Waluski of Under Armour Golf. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel.